Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary. We are going to have this discussion. The motion today, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, is will the military coup d'etat in West Africa spill over to the east of Africa? We know there is this feeling of Africa getting its independence thanks to the Wagner mercenaries who are helping the military juntas in the West, who uh, help Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger take over, take back their country back. Actually, from the French. We saw in the BRICS meeting yesterday, where the juntas, not the juntas, but sorry, I'm trying to get this link to a couple of people here so they can probably join me if they have time. I don't know if they'll be able to, but I'll just try. Okay, I'll see if you can help me discuss this, have this discussion with your folks. We saw Russia, President Putin yesterday when he gave a speech during the BRICS annual meeting, and he said that I don't need to go to war with France because all I have to do is, help the French cut off their supply in West Africa, and France will just topple by itself. It will just it will go down by itself, which is true because it's been a week or a couple of months now that Niger took over their resources from France, and especially the uranium production. And you already see that some parts of Paris can no longer having trouble maintaining their electricity because they don't have enough energy supply from Niger. Okay, and there's this whole dispute between Italy and France, and also France and the United States over this pipeline that's supposed to run from Nigeria through Niger to Algeria and to France. And the Niger government is saying, hey, listen, this pipeline right here is not gonna, you have to pay some taxes. It's not just gonna go through our country anymore, So much interesting stuff is happening in West Africa. And the question is, can this spill over to the east of Africa? Because, east has always, well, let me not say eastern, but east. When I say east, I'm referring to Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. They've been relatively peaceful for the past, decades, okay? Uganda with his exception there, whether it was, Idi Amin taking power from Obote, then Museveni taking power from Idi Amin, and even Museveni, who has been the biggest puppet, the biggest laptop for the US and the West, is now shifting towards the BRICS nation. That can be explained by the recent, discovery of gold. I don't know how many tons of gold that was discovered in Uganda. And I said in my TikTok video, I said, you know what? With this discovery, Uganda may have a regime change, because the West, once they discover there's gold or any kind of new resources that's lucrative economically, they'll come for it and they'll find a reason too. So recently, if you're followed, you know that Museveni is in trouble. Actually, US have placed sanctions. The Biden government has placed sanctions on Uganda due to Uganda failing or refusing to, go along with the LGBT rights stuff. Museveni said, hey, listen, if you guys believe in gay marriage, that's fine. But in Uganda, we don't believe it. And if you're found being engaged in any kind of gay marriage or same-sex marriage or same-sex relationship, he shall throw you to jail. And when you get to jail, he says he will keep you there until you produce a baby. If you don't produce a baby, you'll stay in jail. And actually, they've made it a law in Uganda that forbids same-sex marriage. And this didn't go down well with the West. So Uganda is facing sanctions. And you saw, after they faced the sanctions, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni decided to go with the East. He decided to look east to China and Russia. And Museveni went to the last African-Russia summit where he met Putin. And I think Museveni also has to look at the weather, the political weather, the zeitgeist of Africa. Africa is claiming back its sovereignty from the West. And if that was to happen, the wave that's happening right now, starting from the East, it might blow in the West, and that may mean regime change. The young folks there who are opposing Museveni's rule might decide to rise up and remove him, okay? Because I think in Uganda, the military is pretty much locked. Museveni made sure that his sons and relatives are heading the military, so there'll be no kind of mutiny or whatever, coup d'etat, possibility of that, a coup. So in that respect, I think Museveni, he covered his track, or tried to. Yeah, so anyway, like I said, what do you think? Because we've known, I made a video that maybe Raila was, and this is conjecture on my part, I say that maybe Raila wasn't so happy with the US since that lady, what's her name, the Whitman made those comments that the past 2020 elections were fair and square in Kenya. So maybe Raila was in his feelings and was really incensed by this to a point where he said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go and meet the Russians and see if I can make a deal with these, maybe the Wagner group, and see if we can take out Russo. Because as I mentioned, Raila has tried everything to get into power, but he has failed. He tried in 1997 is there where he started. 1997, I think. 2002, he did not run. He joined Kibaki. 2007, he ran and won. But we know the country went down to chaos on the brink of civil war, and he had to make a deal, thanks to Kofi Annan and the Western intervention in that. Then in 2013, he lost on a technicality. And 2017, he came into a handshake where, the people wanted, actually swore him in as the people's president. And he was on his way. He could have taken out Uhuru Kenyatta if he wanted to, but he chose to back down. Perhaps maybe Uhuru gave him some cash offer or some powers and stuff. And he was like, okay, you know what? I'll not go on with this. I'll just hang on. Then in 2022, as we know, Uhuru promised to help him using the deep state to help him win the elections. And as we know, Ruto outplayed them all. I don't know if Kenyatta actually played Raila, or people just voted overwhelmingly for Ruto, and therefore Raila lost the elections. And now it is rumored that he might have got into a handshake with Raila Odinga. We don't know yet, but there's signs for it. As I mentioned, there are a couple of people who are making tweets that suggest that these talks are going nowhere, and most likely Raila has had his handshake deal with William Ruto. Even Gachagua mentioned something of some sort, but we don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So far, all we know is that Raila, Kalonzo, and Uhuru Kenyatta are all in UK. Whether they are really in UK, I don't know, but they all are said to be in United Kingdom, England, somewhere. So that will be interesting to see if what they'll be working out, what they're trying to work out while they're in England. But let's go back to something else that I want to talk about, which is why is my thing not showing? I don't know what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's going on over here, but my thing is not quite working, but I'll try again. Let's see. Anyway, as I was saying, shoot, I don't like this, but I will try. I'm having a little bit technical difficulty. So if you would bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, so I can get more people in the studio and see if, you know, see if this guy's gonna get in the studio and join me in the discussion. Okay? Join me in this discussion where we discuss this issue of yes, right. I'm just looking at something here very quickly. I will be back, but I'm not leaving. I'm just trying to see what's going on over here, some technical stuff that I'm trying to actually just work out before I go on with my discussion here. Okay, but I'll be out of it in a second. But anyway, what is going on over here? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? But as I was saying, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Okay, yeah. But anyway, going back to what I was saying. Yes, I think I am live. Okay, that's good. 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 Let me get out of there. Let me get out of there. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Back to the discussion. Okay. So, one thing I wanted to say. I'm in the right. One thing that I wanted to mention here is hold on for a second. These things are just right. As I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. We know that Raila Odinga has no trouble trying to get involved in some kind of coup d'etat. In 1982, he was involved in a coup d'etat attempt where he was detained after that for 9 years, I guess, by Moi. They tried to overthrow Moi, but it wasn't successful. Could it be that Raila Odinga, this time, by looking at the West, West Africa, he's tired of being a busboy for the West and says, you know what, they keep on skipping me about, so I'll go to the Wagner group and tell them, hey, I need help here. I need to get on this coup d'etat business because getting Ruto out seems to be a problem. Democratically, I can't get him out. Because remember, I know you guys might ask yourselves and say, you might ask yourself and say, it's hard to get Ruto out militarily, but I don't think that that's the case. I think hold on here for a second. Just I'm with you guys. Don't just trying to work out some technical stuff here. Then we'll be fine. We'll be fine in a minute. We'll be fine. Don't worry.
The economy is larger than a half of Africa.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. I'm just trying to work out something here real quick. Then I'll be on my way. Anyway, my theory is this. As I work on this thing here, okay? As we work on this thing here, what I'm saying is this, okay? What I'm saying is this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. What I'm saying is this. Could it be that, my goodness, all right.
The Bible says he has shown thee, O man, what is good, what is just, how to live rightly before your God, justly before your God. And so God has really shown us what to do. We know exactly what if that.
All right, hold on. All right, back to this. Let me pay attention to what I'm doing because I was just sending them whatever. I'll be here for the next couple of whatever, just to make sure everybody can see what I'm talking about. But going back to what I was saying, all right? Could it be that now, with the history of Raila Odinga, we know that he has been involved in coup before, okay? Even though, he went to court and he was detained for 9 years without evidence, but it's well known that Raila was kind of involved in this coup d'etat, failed coup d'etat attempt in 1982. Could it be that he could be looking at the East as far as the Russians to help him take over, because the Kenyan militaries might be divided. We might not know, but historically, if you look at how governments usually, democratically elected governments are usually overturned through coup d'etat, they usually use the military, okay? We can take out, let's use the example of the US, how they took out Mossadegh in 1953, okay? The CIA and the British intelligence, ISI, not ISI, ISI is Pakistan. It's called MI6, okay? And the CIA, they use the military and also, fund people to go to the streets. Sorry, not Mossadegh. Mossadegh, yes, they use the people to take out Mossadegh in Iran in 1953, okay? The following year, I think 1954, with Pinochet, Chile, Pinochet, the Pinochet, if you want to call him that, in Chile, okay? The general was paid by the US, okay? He was one of the generals, okay, in the military. He was paid by the US, the CIA. Of course, the money was funneled under the orders of Henry Kissinger. There's a book on that talks about that by Christopher Hitchens. The title of the book is called Trials of Henry Kissinger, okay? But anyway, it kind of explains how Kissinger, through the CIA and other factions, they paid the generals, General Pinochet at the time, to take out a democratically elected leader of Chile back then, okay? This has been done over and over. Even in Venezuela, before Mr. What's his name died, this popular leader, I forget his name, Chavez, okay? Remember, Chavez, when he came to power, there was a time that he was abducted by the military. Again, the CIA used the military. They paid off a couple of top brass in the military to take out Chavez, okay? They kidnapped him, took him somewhere, and the people went out there and said, hey, listen, we're not having this. We need our president back. People came to the streets overwhelmingly, and Chavez was restored in power, okay? So having the military, the top generals in the military to turn their heads is not something that's impossible, especially in Kenya, because I think there's a general feeling that most of the top military people in Kenya happens to come from two tribes, okay? Kalenjins and Kikuyus, okay? So that's what people think. That's the general perception, okay? Now with Ogola, was the General Ogola who was like the head general now, which was a good move by by the president Ruto. Still does not bring the facts, take out the fact that the military is mostly, and they're recruiting right now, okay? So let's say, for example, if the military, okay, if the Russians, let's say the Wagner group, wants to overthrow the military in Kenya, and I'm not advocating for this, let me be just clear, I'm not justifying, I'm just giving you a scenario of how this can take place. And this is how it took place in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, just for example. Okay, so if the Wagner group wants to take out Ruto, okay, they'll probably go to, let's say, Ogola, General Ogola, or maybe, they'll test their loyalty, okay? They'll meet him in a secret place, arrange a meeting, sit down and tell him the plan. They'll tell him, hey, listen, we'll pay you this. We just need a couple of men, and we'll help you take out the president. You'll rule the nation for whatever the case is until the next elections, okay? Which usually takes forever, but whatever, regardless, okay? You just approach one of the generals who has a following, tell him, hey, listen, we'll offer you some money, whatever, blah, 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 blase. We'll help you with the logistics. If there's any uprising that, you'll face, if there's any anyone else that opposes your rule or your takeover will help you. And as we know, the Wagner Group, they have advanced military equipment and they are highly trained. These are mercenaries, really well-trained military guys, okay, who have been training and been in different expeditions across the world, okay, whether it's Ukraine, Belarus, Chechnya, whatever. Name it, defeat them. And plus, they can actually recruit some members of the army from Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, okay? Because, an interesting, just before I finish my thought, let me just divert a little bit. Today, the leader of Burkina Faso, I believe, warned the Nigeria Tinubu president and say that if Nigeria, along with the ECOWAS, which is Nigeria basically, being led by Tinubu, if they decide to invade Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali said that what they'll do is they will attack Abuja. That's number one. And after they attack Abuja, they'll restore the legitimately voted president, the president that they felt, because they had election and there's a huge consensus out there that Tinubu did not win. Okay, he's illegitimate. So a lot of people are saying that Tinubu will be happy to lead the ECOWAS countries to attack Niger, in order to divert attention from his illegitimate rule. So what I'm saying is this, with the statements, the pronouncements that was made by the president of Burkina Faso today, where he said, if ECOWAS attack Niger, along with Mali and Burkina Faso, will attack Abuja, okay? And after they attack Abuja, they will put the president, the Tinubu's opponent, who is said to have won the elections, and they restore it. Remember, the Nigerian Senate does not support Tinubu's rule, okay? Remember, majority of Nigerians do not support any military intervention towards Niger, Burkina Faso, or Mali, okay? So Tinubu, it will be a grave mistake if he actually tries to go and take out, go to war with Niger. And remember, Putin also said that any ECOWAS country, any African Union country that attacks AU, Burkina Faso, and Mali shall face consequences. Remember, even the Russian mercenaries, okay, the Wagner Group, they're still in Niger, they're still in Mali, they're still in Burkina Faso, okay, and they're willing to stand by it. Because remember, these guys are not doing pro bono work over there. If they help you do a military coup, they are going to get paid. And how they're getting paid, that's between them. It can mean, a percentage of their GDP, a percentage of what they can control the minerals there. So whatever the arrangement is, these guys are not fighting for free. That's their motivation. That's why if they're involved in any coup d'etat, yes, they will get paid, okay, somehow. So what I'm saying is this. So back to what my thought is against how they can take out the Ruto if it gets to that point, okay? Again, they'll approach one of the generals and, pay him around, pay him some money and tell him, hey, listen, if you help us in this coup d'etat to take out the president, you will rule, but here are the terms. We shall control X, Y, and Z, some facet of the economy, or you pay us cash, this amount. And of course, most generals, if you're getting paid, if you're being offered a bribe that's like 10 times what you're making, and you know that you'll have power after they take over, it's a very, enticing proposition, okay? And usually they go about it. I mentioned General Pinochet, how he took over Chile after he got paid by Henry Kissinger through the CIA, okay? And I also mentioned, there's numerous cases. I mean, there's so many cases on this coup d'etat that were happening, whether it was South America, Europe. I mean, so this is not something new. This has been happening even in Africa. I mean, Mobutu Sese Seko was a general before Patrice Lumumba, when he was the president of Congo. Okay, when he decided to nationalize. Okay, the same thing that's happening right now in Niger. He decided to nationalize the country's resources, the copper, the gold, everything, oil, okay? The French and the Belgians and the Americans were not happy about that. They were saying, hey, listen, this is how we, take advantage of you guys. This is how we eat. We cannot let that happen. And they went and approached Mobutu Sese Seko, who was a general in the military at that point, okay? And they paid him and they offered him these wonderful deals and told him, hey, listen, if you can just go in there, we maintain our control of copper and gold and everything else, resources. Just go in there and, you can rule and do whatever you want. We don't care about the human rights violations. Just get Lumumba out of here. And that's how Lumumba was taken out. That's how Lumumba lost his life, unfortunately, an African hero that will never be forgotten. But that's another example of how CIA, along with, the Belgians, kind of took out Lumumba using a general. And that's something that the Russians can do. We saw that. Niger, this guy, Ibrahim Traore, he was a general, one of the head people in the military, okay? The same as Burkina Faso, the same as Mali. So could it be that this can happen in the East? I mentioned this because already Museveni is smelling the coffee and is trying to align himself with the Russians because he knows, if these guys are done with the Francophone countries, whatever, and they come to the Anglo-ruled, the English-ruled Africa part of it. Remember in 1885, the Berlin Conference, where Europeans met and decided to divide Africa up amongst themselves. Italy, Germany, Portugal, Spain went to South America. But who else? England, okay? They decided how they're going to divide Africa, okay? But now we see that the French are losing their grip on West Africa. And like I said, Putin said, I don't have to go to war with the France. If I can get Africans to regain their resources, gain control of their resources, France will tumble. And we already saw Paris is already suffering from a lot of blackouts because the production, the uranium production that they use from Niger to that they transport to get processed in France and used for use, they're not receiving it anymore because once the new Niger ruler came in to power, he said, okay, production must stop. All the gold, all the copper, all the uranium, if you guys are going to produce it right here. You're not taking anything out. No way. You're not using it anymore. And the French are on their way out of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. And this can roll over. If Nigeria decides to attack them, it's going to be the end of Tinubu's rule. That's guaranteed. So I'm saying this wave of a new Afro revolution, okay, is happening. We had that in the 60s and 50s when Africa thought they were having their independence, okay? Independence is not given. The British never left Kenya, for example, okay? They just decided, hey, we are not going to rule you guys directly, but this is what we're going to do. We'll leave, we'll physically leave, okay? You guys can take care of your affairs, but we'll maintain control of your economy. We'll give you a puppet by the name of Jomo Kenyatta, and he will do as we say. We don't care if he grabs lands, if he's corrupt, if he kills people, as long as our interest, what they call interest, which basically means the resources that come from your country, we, the British, will have control of that. And if you dare say anything, if your countrymen dare say something, you will be assassinated. And that explains the death of Pinto Gama and what's his name? Tom Mboya, okay? Pinto Gama said he was killed by the CIA, okay? He was and also, because remember, Pinto Gama also met, if you guys know your history, go read your history. Pinto Gama actually met Malcolm X, okay? And actually, he inspired Malcolm X, okay? So, CIA got a wind of that and said, hey, listen, this guy is a trouble. He's Indian. He's an African of Indian descent. He's those guys who left, their forefathers came from India and came to Kenya to help with rail work for the British government, okay? So anyway, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, this is all, the world is a small place. Everybody is interconnected. And I'm saying this, could it be that Raila, being in UK, might consider using this Wagner group to come to the East, because now the Africans, with the advanced technology that we have, internet, people speak, people talk, people see what's happening. A lot of Africans have gone abroad in Europe, America, you name it, China, whatever. They went to school, come back, they have their PhD and all that stuff, whatever, and they're asking themselves. You just remember, like just like the Prime Minister of Italy just made a statement a few weeks ago and said, Africa is not poor, okay? It's the governments that are being controlled by the West are the reason why they are suffering, okay? And as I mentioned before, Italy is having a fight with France right now because Italy is saying this, okay, you guys are starting all these wars in Africa and all that stuff in Libya and everyone else, and when these Africans cross that river, not river, that sea, what was it? Not Indian Ocean, that ocean between Europe and Algeria and Spain, okay? These guys go through Spain and they go through Italy, and the European Union, there's a law in the European Union that any illegal immigrant, once they make it to the mainland in Europe, the first country that they get to, they are to stay there. They cannot be deported. That's the country that they live in, okay? So, but Italy, they're getting so much, there's a huge influx of African immigrants crossing over that ocean, okay, the Mediterranean, coming to Italy, and Italy cannot deal with this huge influx of immigrants, okay? And they're saying, you know what, we cannot take it anymore, okay? And France, on the other hand, are saying no, because France, Italy were taking these guys, and these guys were making their ways to France, okay? They're crossing over to France. And Macron is saying, we don't want them, we cannot deal with them. And Italy is saying, we don't want them too, so what? I mean, we have to share responsibility. If we're gonna have this law and let people just come into a country and live here, our economy cannot sustain this. So there's a huge fight between Italy and the French, okay? And the French president said this. He made that point when he got pissed. He told Macron that if you guys were not causing all these atrocities in Africa, we won't be having this problem of immigration, okay? Because Africa, remember, Putin said Africa alone, the continent, can feed the whole world, and actually has always fed the whole world, okay? Africa alone, okay? The US, the big people, China, US, Europe, have been always extracting gold, minerals, copper, uranium, californium, aluminium, all that stuff, all the big stuff, okay, resources are being extracted from Africa. All the foods, okay, are being extracted from Africa and taken, processed in America and Europe and sold back to Africa. The difference is the Chinese are coming in, and in exchange of that, they're helping Africa with infrastructure, okay? They're saying, hey, we're coming in, we're gonna help you build roads. Also, it's all to their advantage, so they can transport their stuff easily to China. They say, hey, we're coming in here, we can help you run your ports, we can help you build your bridges, we can help you build the roads, okay? And in exchange of that, the Chinese are not interested in actually ruling over you guys or ruling over, messing with your democracy, so to speak, okay? They'll let you guys, pick your president, do whatever you want, but they'll just tell you, hey, listen, let's make a deal, give us a couple of copper mines or whatever, we'll do that. As what's happening in Congo. Congo is a very interesting country. Congo is the richest country in the world as far as minerals is concerned, okay? That's why you see the Blackwater people, the Blackwater mercenaries are out there. The Chinese are out there. There's all this terrorism and war and stuff, because Congo is so rich in copper, the metal that is used to make cell phones, okay, the whatever. It's being mined. Children are mining, working in mines every day in Congo, making less than $1 in a day, okay? So with this BRICS meeting that was happening in South Africa, where the BRICS money, the money that they want to launch in November, shall be backed by gold, unlike the US dollar. What does that mean? That can quickly revolutionize the economies of Africans because, for example, Uganda is known for gold. They have a lot of gold. So instead of them trading in dollars, paper money, fiat money, because remember, the dollar is not backed by anything. It's just paper that's being printed. The reason why the dollar, since 1971, when they stopped being backed by whatever, it's usually, it's been protected by whatever, tanks, and that's why we have all these wars. Remember, Libya, the reason why Libya was taken out, Gaddafi said, listen, I'm going to trade using our own money, the black dollar that is called. It was called Naira, okay? He said, I'm going to launch that. It's backed by gold. I'm not using US dollars. US dollars is worthless. It's not backed by anything. Sure enough, Obama, along with Hillary Clinton, got him out, okay? Saddam Hussein did the same thing. He said, hey, listen, I came in to thank you for you guys helping me get into power, but I'm going to start trading in euros because dollar is not, it's becoming worthless. Long behold, George W. Bush said, all right, man, weapons of mass destruction. We all know the story after that, okay? So any country that does not have nuclear weapon, that cannot protect itself, every time they dump the dollar, there's always a regime change, there's war, okay? But the reason why they cannot do that is with China or North Korea or Russia. Of course, Russia can hold their own. They just, Putin just said with Ukraine, he said, we're just getting started. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But anyway, the whole point is this. And remember, Putin also said that he's willing to help these African nations develop nuclear weapons to protect themselves. Because remember, Gaddafi was only taken out after he gave up his nuclear weapons. Okay? That's why you see the West are very, very hesitant in attacking Iran, because Iran is believed to have nuclear warheads, okay? And Russia is willing to back them up. Just like when the war started in Syria, when the West tried to get out Assad in Syria, Russia said, we have our oil pipe there. We're doing business with Syria. You guys are not going to mess with it. And Putin sent him some Russian soldiers on the ground, and they whooped ass. They whooped everybody up there. America had to leave, okay? So, and they maintained Assad remain in power. Okay, so Putin is saying this time in Africa, he's going to help the Africans develop their army, and he will give them nuclear weapons in case the West try to fight them. They can defend themselves, because those mercenaries will not stay they'll not stay there forever. He'll just help them like get their feet, have a strong army, then he will leave. Okay, they'll leave hopefully. But the question today, let's not forget, the question is this: on the east side, because it seems like the east part of Africa was ruled by the British. West was more French and Belgium. Central was more Belgium and Portuguese, okay? South was more Holland, okay? Holland and British, okay? So now coming back to the east, we have these three governments. Let's just use the three ones: Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. Kenya is very volatile. Yes, it's been a peaceful nation for a while, but we know how easy things can go wrong. I mentioned about Museveni. Museveni is smelling the coffee, and he's trying to endear himself among his people by rejecting the West. Of course, the West are mad at him right now because of the LGBT stuff, okay? But he's not popular, okay? The Tanzanian president is not popular either. People are asking questions about his deal, about the Dubai deal with the ports. I mentioned how these Western companies, IMF, they're using IMF to control you, okay? If you take their money, they force you into deals. Just Google investor state dispute settlement, okay? It shows how IMF get you to sign deals with other countries, which you cannot default. And that's mostly what's happening in Tanzania. The president is faced with some terms that he cannot get out of. He had to auction off the ports to Dubai for the next, 100 years. That's the kind of deals they make, okay? Which is really unfair. And remember, the previous president, Magufuli, who was really pro the people, he rejected the whole COVID thing. He said COVID can be, it can be taken care of with through natural remedies. And guess what? He ended up dying. And we have this Suluhisho, this lady who is now ruling Tanzania, who's basically a puppet of the West. Very unpopular. She's jailing all her oppositions. And so the youth are starting to say, hey, you know what? We're getting tired of this lady. So there's rumbling on the ground, okay? Coming to Kenya. Kenya is fairly stable, okay? But of course, with the people like Raila who are making noise about, election this, election that, you never know what he might end up. He might be mad and say, listen, I'm going to side with the Russians. I'm going to use this Wagner group, and we're going to take out Ruto. You never know what might happen, okay? What about, what other country? Yeah, Uganda. I mentioned Uganda. So East Africa is just as volatile as anything. And then we have Somali who are being ruled by the West too, some parts of the West, okay? Because Somalia is kind of divided up, okay? The government is American government, but they're facing. Don't get me wrong. Al-Shabaab is being funded by these CIA people, okay? Don't get fooled. These guys work together, okay? But we know it's a puppet government over there, so it also might face some problems. Ethiopia is fairly stable, you know. They always have their problem with Eritrea, but it seems like it's fairly peaceful right now. So I don't know if they can go I don't know how people feel about the Ethiopian government. It's we're not hearing a lot of noise as far as how the government deals with its people. Okay, then there is what's other country? Yes, Rwanda. Rwanda is fairly stable with Mr. Kagame. You know, the economic advances that Kagame has made is kind of making for the atrocities that he has committed against the Hutus. So we don't hear a lot of this. You know, he has stabilized the place pretty much. But you never know. These places, you never know. Once, you know, the people in the eastern bloc of Africa looking at the Westerns and they're questioning themselves, they're like, okay, is it really time for us to take control back to Africa? Is it time to take out these Western puppets out? That's why I say in Kenya, the only person that we know have a history of trying to take out the government is Raila Odinga. He's in UK now. What is he doing in UK? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, that's all I wanted to speak about today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go out, subscribe to my channel. Is Kenyan Revolutionary on YouTube. Like, share, comment, tell me what you think. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.